For the longest time, we've been hearing that Donald Trump's power is fading, and that Trumpism is the present danger that we're facing now. Now, proclaiming what's going to happen is a popular way to shrug off taking responsibility for helping to determine what's going to happen, and it's something that we've seen a lot of times with doom-spreading prophecies that Donald Trump is going to run for squatter again, or even possibly win in 2024, which we do not want to happen. One of the assumptions is that Trump will still be alive and competent to run, but the health of this sedentary shouter, who's in his mid-70s, including the after effects of the COVID-19 he was hospitalized with in 2020, could change all that. Now, we'll look to external issues too. For whatever the condition of his own health is, his financial health is under attack, with his businesses losing money and banks refusing to lend to him after the storming of that Klan capital that he incited. It's also worth remembering that he lost a popular vote by millions in 2016 and by even bigger millions in 2020. He never had a mandate. The Republicans are clearly gearing up to try to steal an election again, but their chances of winning one with Trump as a candidate seems very slim. Currently, he is creating conflict within the Republican Party with his insistence on controlling it for his own agenda and punishing his dissenters. Another assumption we make when we assess Trump's prospects is that he won't be locked up in 2024, and that his reputation, such as it is, won't be severely damaged even in the eyes of some of the sycophants who voted for him before. Now, even in the past couple of weeks, his standing has shifted significantly. Former Attorney General Bill Barr is now speaking out to promote his book about how Trump was clearly advised that his claims of an election theft had no basis and that his strategies to overturn the results were illegal. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has woken up people around the world, or at least those who were dozing, to Vladimir Putin's malevolence and reminded Americans of how eagerly Trump allied himself with the Russian dictator, personally and politically. And suddenly a lot of Republicans are trying to scurry away from their own pro-Putin record, which may seem distancing themselves from Trump as well. Trump's 2019 withholding of military aid to Ukraine to try to pressure Ukrainian President Zelensky into supporting his lies is also being re-examined under the harsh light of this war. Additionally, Trump is facing many criminal charges. From allegations of financial dirty dealing by the Trump Organization in New York, Trump has called the various probes into the business politically motivated, which they're not, and also to an investigation into whether Trump and his allies subverted election results in Georgia, where Trump claims election fraud took place without any evidence. Now, just last week, the January 6th committee laid out a series of potential charges against the former squatter, including conspiracy to defraud the American people and obstructing an official proceeding of Congress, and Trump's domestic status seems to be shifting rapidly. He is facing so many lawsuits that both CNN and NBC published indexes of those cases. Last month, news broke out that Trump had left the White House with classified documents, which he claimed he had a right to take to his home, which he did not, and this could lead to a felony. Though how much appetite the Biden administration has for jailing the former squatter remains to be seen. Among the large array of civil charges that Trump faces are aging Carroll's allegations of defamation over his insult-laden denial that he had raped her. He has responded that he was simply responding in the line of official duties, and his former consigliere, Michael Cohen's case that his return to prison was triggered by Trump after Cohen released a revealing memoir. There are also suits holding Trump responsible for the January 6th Klan insurrection, both from members of Congress and 2 policemen that were injured in the mayhem. In February, the courts ruled that these civil suits can go forward, and Trump lacks the immunity that would protect him from them. Trump has initiated lawsuits of his own, but a great many have been dismissed, although he is still suing his niece, Mary Trump, for disclosing his tax information. And she in turn is suing him and 2 of his siblings, alleging that they defrauded her out of much of her inheritance, which they automatically deny. Though the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution should ban all insurrectionists from running for elected office again, and it seems unlikely to be applied to 21st century candidates the way it was to former Confederates. But still, the Georgia and New York charges are serious, all of which is to say that the road from early 2022 to 2024 is going to be a long and bumpy road for Trump. And the popular opinion is fickle. George W. Bush is Trump's age, and clearly a permanent has-been. Even Barack Obama at 60 has strolled off stage. But even if Trump is not disputably in the running, Trumpism is running rampant, and it's a force to contend with in political races across the U.S. Trump was a super spreader of his brand of immoral self-interest that tramples fact, truth, laws, and rights. The man himself was sulking in his private club in Florida, enduring effectual exile from New York and Washington and Twitter. But to a degree, his work is done. He has gotten he has gotten already a corrupt political party to embrace his tactics and values. The brazen lies of prominent figures in the party show that they have abandoned all ethics and standards, and they will happily violate their oaths that they took to uphold the Constitution. But the viral Trumpism has already merged with conspiracy theories such as QAnon, with anti-vaccine cults, and with white supremacists and neo-fascists, and with the gun-fetishing groups that continue to have an ominous presence in public life. Now, we sometimes think of the American right as a pot on the boil, and what's inside is concentrating as it shrinks. The Republican Party seems to be losing ground. A Gallup poll from January found that 24% of eligible voters consider themselves to be Republican, which was down from 31% back in November of last year. Now, that's a reminder that news stories revealing that a majority of Republicans believe something could actually mean that only a small minorities of Americans do, and there has been a high-profile defection and general atrophy in the age of Trump, and that's the shrinking. But then there's the concentration that renders those who remain more furious, and they're more closed-minded and more ready to jump on any bandwagon that it looks like if it leads to power, and even more rigidly committed to an increasingly right-wing agenda, even though, or maybe because that means minority rule. Now, for the progressives, the Republican desperation is a good sign in its way. A popular party doesn't have to suppress votes and steal elections, but a party aligned with the will of the people doesn't need to lie and cheat either. And Trumpism seems like a last gasp, a desperate last chance to hang on to what's slipping away. The old Soviet satellite aphorism: "You can cut down the flowers, but you can't stop the spring," applies nicely. The future of this country is white minority, yet the Republican Party has done its best to alienate everybody. While the rising majority of Americans supports reproductive rights, climate action, and many economic, what they call justice measures. The progressive future of the United States seems almost inevitable. With Trumpism, there is still a force. The short-term future is alarming and unpredictable, and the damage may be lasting. Whether it's the prevention of climate action or the infliction of literal and financial violence on poor and marginalized people, the enemies of authoritarianism and white supremacy have their work cut out. The task is clear and straightforward, and to protect the democratic process, upholding voting rights and free and fair elections to try to win those elections for progressive candidates and to articulate and defend the values behind those objections. Now, Trump is treading water, but this is how resistance to Trumpism works and how it can prevail if enough people work at it hard enough to try. So, if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King, and you can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And also, if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon page, which you can find on the About section of my YouTube channel. You can find the link there and donate if you want to help support the further work. Yeah.